Welcome to another episode of DD on the Spot. As always, I'm your host, Ryan Johnson. And before I get to our guests here today, I'd like to remind everyone that if you enjoy this content, to please give a like and subscribe down below. I'd greatly appreciate it. You should recognize our guest because we've already had her on the podcast before, Autumn Swansen. I wanted to have her back on because she recently just made her change. As you can remember from our last podcast, she was a women's physique division competitor, but she has recently made the change to figure and has competed in that, and we just want to check in with her and see how that was going. But first off, Autumn, how has it been? I mean, I know we talked almost a year from today. What other changes have you made other than making that change to figure? How's it been?
Other changes. I just started a new job actually while I was in prep for my last show. So that was a bit of a change. I went from a slow paced nursing home setting to a very high paced outpatient clinic where I'm used to having an hour to hour and a half one on one. Now it's 4 and 5 people that I'm running at the same time. So that was a big adjustment, still is. So that's new. Other than that, yeah, just the news that you were just saying how I switched from physique to figure. And basically, I started feeling like that this time last year. I kind of toggled with the option of doing figure. And it was Tampa Pro. And I was like, well, this is the last qualifier. I've done physique the whole time. I'll just do physique one more time and see how that goes. I was planning on, in my mind, I thought, okay, like you're not going to win, you're not going to qualify, like just say bye to the Olympia this year and just do a figure show right after that. Well, I did Tampa and I did women's physique and they liked me and I won. So then I'm like, okay, well, I've got a shot here. So, but I just kind of saw it coming. I saw it turning back into women's bodybuilding, in my opinion. Not every show, of course, they're trying to judge what's up there, but I feel like by far and large, it was just turning back into that division. So this year, it's kind of the same thing. I'm like, oh, what do I do? Because some shows, okay, still look like my type, and then other shows way different. So I did one show and I got fifth, and I'm like, okay, I'm still in the right category, kind of, I guess. And then the next show, I got like, I don't even know, the worst I've ever done. I don't even know what I placed. I guess they stopped counting after like 14th or 15th. I don't know. It's the first time that I didn't get to do my night routine. I just felt terrible. I didn't feel terrible about my package, but I was just like, man, like, it was the same show I won a couple years ago. It was in my home state that now of Illinois. And I'm just like, wow. It was just like confirmation that, and all the judges agreed. They were just like, you need to do figure. You've just been outgrown. So, I was like, okay. And I tried. I knew I would not bring my best. Figure is all about presentation and poise and polish. And I turned right around like in less than a week and did a figure show just because the timing, as far as who I knew was going, it was going to be convenient. I had a place to go. I talked a lot to the promoter that show weekend. I just thought, well, I had the ability to go and fly and do that. So I did that just to get my feet wet, and then realized that I need a lot more practice. You definitely can't mimic the stage in heels, no matter how much I practice and practice. It's going to take me being show day in heels with all the different fair factors and variables that happen with a show to be comfortable up there. So I did well at Tampa. That was my second figure show. I got fifth. I was still just trying not to fall down. So I think that's what hurt me the most. I talked to a couple judges and they kind of downplayed that, but I really didn't get to talk to many judges. Actually, just one. And so hopefully, I'm still going to be at the Olympia this year. I'm going to be there with Muscle Egg. So hopefully, I'll get to talk to some of the judges there. That's one good thing is that even though I'm new in figure, I've developed a relationship with a lot of the judges and they know me. So I don't feel like I'm going to be some random competitor that's like, what do I need to work on? I think that they will know and remember me and my physique. They've seen it different ways. So I hope to get some feedback there. So
That's awesome because I gotta say, when I heard that you were doing figure, I gotta say, the number one difference that I love to talk about for people, because we have had on a few other guests that have done physique and then decided to do figure, is the fact that you gotta wear those high heels. What was that like for you? Because for everyone out there that doesn't know physique, you don't gotta wear those high heels, but bikini and figure, those darn high heels that we hear all these stories about.
yeah, it really is. Well, my husband can attest. He's actually right here.
Hey.
He said he didn't want to be on, but I'm making him. He was like, "Holy crap!" We started working. We both work with Kenny Wallach, and he was like, "Oh my gosh, this is really involved." And it is, and especially because I've been doing women's physique poses for however long now, and so even though there's just those 4 quarter turns and those two little, I don't even know, model poses, it's very involved. And then honestly, I'm not it's not even that I'm bad at walking in heels normally, but when you get up there, I can't even describe. It's not that I get nervous. I'm always been a bigger crowd, the better. Let's do this. I come from a gymnastics, cheerleading, dance background, and I can remember like even being a little kid, and I would peek out at the recitals and like see how many people were there, and I wanted like a big crowd. So I don't really get nervous, but it's like this. It's a physical. It feels like I'm walking on stilts. I mean, the moment that you're up there on stage, it's like you lose all proprioception and kinesthesia. Like you don't even I don't even feel like I feel like robotic. Like I don't it's so hard to describe because it's like looking at it and judging it, you're thinking, okay, like just walk, just walk, girl. But it's like it's almost like you just lose, like you've got two wooden legs all of a sudden. And so I just know that that'll just get better over time. I did do my first figure show actually when I very first started competing. I did one figure show. And then I moved on to fitness. So I did have to wear heels then. So I know what it's like. I remember struggling then. Shaking was always something that, like, even though I wasn't a nervous shake, it was just a physiological, like, tremor. And I would try to pose really hard. It's really hard for me to like I'm a perfectionist and I'm trying to pose perfect and I'm trying to get that out of my system that a lot of times people over pose and you look worse because any little bit of water that you have or any little bit of nervousness that you do have when you're posing and contracting so hard is going to shake and vibrate and that's going to detract. That's going to look worse. If you're not quite conditioned, it's better. I mean, obviously, we're all trying to be our best conditioning, but sometimes people show up at shows and your body didn't cooperate or whatever, and you still committed, you still showed up, you still followed through, but maybe your conditioning wasn't where you wanted it to be. So you're trying to correct it by posing, and a lot of times it just makes you look worse. So, yeah, so it's just going to be time, time, time.
Yeah, just like with everything else that comes in this sport, I mean, it's just that preparation and also just learning things all over time. And I mean, it's not a or it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. But what was the mental experience like for this? Because for a lot of times, people identify with that division that they're in, especially when it comes to female bodybuilding. Where I mean, you were a physique competitor for such a long time, and you're used to that look. Looking in the mirror and seeing that look. Was it different, or was it difficult for you to make that transition to figure and just realize that you are going to present a different look now on stage?
No, actually, it was very relieving. The same thing happened Tampa Pro last year whenever I thought about doing figure, and it was so relieving. And I practiced in those heels. We got together. I didn't even practice women's physique. I changed my contract like the last day that you could do it. I don't. I just talked to some other people that I was just like, okay, I had already really committed and in my mind, and then I just thought, you know what, even if you don't do figure, you need to have this mindset like you are, just like you are, because it was like a switch. It was like all the anxiety of trying to just get so peeled. And so, like, for me, I'm never the one up there with the line glutes like that. And it was just like becoming more and more mandatory. Like, in order to win, you have to have that. You have to have that. And I was just chasing after that, and it just was not happening for me. And it was just relieving, even the thought of just like, not that you don't have to be tight back there for figure, because you do, but just the pressure was off to be so super conditioned and gnarly looking that, I mean, I don't even know like how they people achieve this look. Um, so I definitely have like thicker skin and just a softer physique in general. And I do feel like when a women's physique first started, it was more about shape, and it was okay to be that, a softer image, just as long as everything, was tight and good, and you had a lot of muscle and you had good proportions and balance. It was enough to win. And so now it's almost like a freak show, and I don't have that freak factor. As it was just an easy switch because it was play to your strengths, and I do feel like that's my strength is that I have a good X frame, a good shape, and I just felt blessed to be able to do both divisions. So a lot of people I think are still out in no man's land. They don't know what to do because they don't really know where they can belong. And because I'll be honest, I mean, even though I have a lot of work to do, my bone structure, literally, like my hips are small, and some of these people that don't have that, it's like what do they do? So I just felt really blessed to be able to do both divisions, and then just see what the judges would like. I mean, it's gonna be the same thing. It's gonna be mixed placings at every show. I mean, Tampa was a really big show, and I did well, so they liked me there. We'll see. I think that's a good sign. But we'll see what is to come. But it's very mentally just very rewarding because I don't feel like I'm chasing after something that I know my body's resistant to. So I think that I'll just really do well in the division and prepping for it, having fun again. This bodybuilding has not been fun this past year, 2 years really. It's been very stressful. I've questioned why am I even doing this. Honestly, I was just like, well, think I'm just going to try to shoot for getting back to the Olympia one more time because I will kid you not, I have never peaked at the Olympia. Still yet. I don't know what it is about out there, but I will look so much better like the week of or the day before. Like on stage, I've not been my best, and that drives me nuts because I've peaked at other shows that were less important, and it's like, I just wanted to get back there one more time because I know that every time, well, I won't say every time. My very first show, my very first Olympia, that's my favorite look still to this day. So, and that's the best I've done. I placed fifth then. So I did peak that time, but I've become a better bodybuilder since then. I mean, my balance is better, my muscular development's better, but I haven't appeared better. So and my conditioning's been better. I've been leaner, but I haven't been able to show it. And yeah, people have no idea those last 24 hours, especially for a body type like me. Like some people pretty much stay the same all the time. I fluctuate very, very often, and it can either be for the good or for the bad. So
Well, I just remember I'll have a photo up from when you were last on the podcast. I mean, you were one of the most shredded guests that I've ever had on, just with the lean. Because I think you just got done with one of your last physique shows, and yeah, I mean, as soon as I heard that you were making the transition to figure, I was like, well, that must be nice then, because you don't have to lean down so much, and you don't have to get to that extreme where I mean, it's just everything is just so. I mean, it's just so weird. I mean, not weird, but it's just everything's just so pronounced and everything is just so lean and so shredded that I mean, it's just really just a big difference. But when it came to your nutrition and your food, how have you mixed things up and how have things been different since you made the transition?
honestly, not too much different, but there's going to be, and especially moving forward and just in the past, there's not, just going back to like you're saying, trying to achieve that freakiness. I've had to use a lot of, I've had to trial and error and mainly error on a lot of diuretics. And that's why I haven't looked my best. And you never know. And like what might happen one time, you go to do it again, and your body, you can't simulate your body's environment each time. And so I'm just hoping, or I'm not hoping, I know I won't have to try to like lose more water weight and do crazy diuretics, and then not and be unpredictable. And there's so many variables for me at the end with women's physique, because I am trying to look like a stone. And I it's just it's hard for me to achieve that. So I know in figure I'm not going to have to like do the crazy, like mess with my water and salt and diuretics. Like I might like do like one little thing, instead of like five things, and hoping that they all, line up just at the right way. So
Yeah, I mean, it's so fascinating how different those two divisions can be. Do you think that you've gained strength or you've lost strength since you've made the transition when it comes to being in the gym?
well, I just basically I dieted ever since January 1st to get back show ready. And I put on too much weight to begin with, and it took a long time to get it off. And because I was in that kind of state, I was in constant like get leaner, get leaner, get leaner. I had to just gas pedal down so much to where like, I was so flat, but I still had fat. So I couldn't really, have much refeed at all, and I couldn't really decrease much cardio at all because, I still was had fat to drop, and so basically I just felt like through the ground basically by the end of this contest this season. And even when I was in Chicago and I decided to make the switch, um, the judges were just like, "You're over dieted. You're the smallest we've ever seen you. You look over diuretic. You look run down." And all of these things were true, but I only had, your show date is your show date. So my advice to people, is to try like I'm very committed this time to staying just 10 pounds above what I have to get to. And that looks really different. Like you can gain a quick 10 pound of water weight really quick. But I mean like 10 overall pounds. Like I really want to watch that. Like even if it's I mean, I think a lot of times people think that they're gaining muscle when once you shed the fat off and the water down, like when you get back to just muscle, like you're pretty small. So yeah, so I know, I mean, the goal is always for me to gain muscle and gain strength, but I'm trying to kind of keep that cap on because, was not fun dieting for this long. And then it didn't give me any, it didn't do me any favors because it didn't prime me. It didn't prime me to pop on stage. It didn't prime me, I needed to, be eating for like 2 weeks, like instead of 2 days, or whatever. And so, strength wise, yeah, I'm back to lifting heavy. I try to lift as heavy as I can during prep, but for the longest time, I haven't been able to. And then when that happens, you're still wanting to take your body to near failure. So lots of high reps recently, have been cut, and I'm back to lifting like within my 6 to 8 rep range, which is where I think a lot of us fall into this and into in love with bodybuilding and the iron is because I mean, it's not fun doing like 30 that's not, it's a hamster wheel. It's not fun doing all this cardio, like none of that's fun. So it's back fun again. I would say I'm definitely stronger than what I've been at prep, but I'm still not. I could, as we age and as you get out of doing things like squatting, for example. I mean, I used to squat so much more. I used to train with power lifters though. So those days are kind of gone where I used to, I've always kind of been more upper body stronger than lower body. I always am very fascinated when I see these girls pushing all this leg weight. Like it's amazing. I look up to that. Um, but it's frustrating for me because I really can't, do heavy like I used to. I feel like even when I very first started. But it doesn't bother me that much. My goals are different. I did some powerlifting meets and things. So just as long as the muscle stays around and I'm shaping it up, I'm fine with that. So I mean, I feel strong, but I don't feel as strong as I did, ironically, years ago. But age probably definitely plays into that.
What do you think is one particular body part that has changed the most in your transformation?
Um, I would say I'm still not happy with them. But I would say probably my shoulders and calves have come up a lot. That was something that I always struggled to grow. So I would like annihilate them, and then I would think, okay, like they're small muscle groups, so they recover really well. Like you can hit them frequently, and I would be like so sore. Like I would think, okay, I've hit the jackpot. This is the plan that it's going to grow them. And then it would be like the next time I would do the same routine, I wouldn't even feel anything. It would be like I hadn't even trained it. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I was sore for a week when I did this. So for those groups, I really like change it up a lot. My goal is to like try to get really, really sore because the more damage you bring, the more building and repair has got to happen. So I would say probably probably that.
Yeah, and posing is just such a huge difference too for anyone out there that doesn't know. I mean, the physique, that's more of like the traditional bodybuilding poses where you have like your front double, your back, your abs. Whereas figure, it's all the quarter turns. What was that adjustment like for you going from just those traditional bodybuilding poses to the figure poses, which are so much more different?
Yeah, just learning the little tricks, listening to Kenny. I'll continue to get better and better, but it's not second nature for me at all yet. But yeah, those poses mean so much more because there's only four. So it's like like in women's physique, you can, if you at least beat, if you at least have more good shots than bad, then you're okay. But really, in figure, you gotta be the best in every shot. So yeah, and it's all about that tiny waist, which I know that I have the potential to bring mine in more. I'll be honest. I have just been like, oh, like I haven't even like focused on that because my abs have always been like what's been my standout body part. In my opinion, it's always been like what I just naturally was gifted with, and I never had to really focus on it at all. Um, but definitely now that I'm in figure, I mean it's a must because the girls that are at the top, I mean, they're just loop loop. The hourglass is like solid. So
Yeah, I mean, it's just like what we were saying before. It's just such a different body type and different, or it's just such a different body type that you have to bring on that stage. But one of the posts that I saw that you posted about was, how it was so great that you got accepted into the figure community, so early on. How important was that to you, just to when you did your first figure show, that you placed so much higher than you probably thought that you would, and just to show that, like, hey, this might be what's for you.
yeah, yeah. Well, I was in the middle for the longest time. It was the longest call out ever. I mean, we were, we were all like, we'd all lost our legs. Like, it's hard to contract for that long. I mean, Brent videoed it, and it was literally like we were up there for like 10 minutes solid. And so we were all losing our breath. But I noticed when I watched the video, I was the first one to go. And I know it's because I'm not used to the conditioning for that posing is different than the conditioning for my other posing. And I feel like in women's physique or bodybuilding, you can kind of get by with that. Like if we are breathing, so what? But when you're in figure and it's supposed to be, this is just supposed to appear like it's our natural resting state and so easy. Yeah, like I looked like I was fish bellying. And then by the end, we all were, but I started, and I think that's what got me moved. I really do. Um, so we'll see. That's kind of one of the questions I have for them. But I was in the middle for the longest time. It was probably why I started hyperventilating even more because I was like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, I'm in the middle. I'm not getting moved. Oh my gosh, I could win. Oh my gosh. So, all these thoughts are running through my head like, could I really win? Am I going to win? Are they leaving me here? Like, and I think I got too focused on that and then I missed my mark. But it was fine because to me, any place, the first call out was a win. So as soon as they called my name on the first call out, I was like, yes. So I was just really excited. But yeah, I think I let myself get a little too hot headed, thinking, oh my gosh, I've won the whole show. I'm gonna go the Olympian figure, and I was thinking, oh my gosh, like, oh, like just pick because I have a lot of work to do to hang with those. That's why I think I'm so excited again because it's a new challenge. The girls that are winning and that are the first call outs on the Olympia stage right now are just crazy, ridiculous robots. And I think I have the potential to stand next to them, but I definitely need to improve. I've got to have bigger shoulders. I've got to have a bigger back for certain. So, so yeah, that's about that.
Do you think that you should have just stayed in figure when you were getting started, or do you really think that this experience that you had in physique has overall helped you out now? Would you have rather just stayed in figure for your whole career, or do you really enjoy that you went to physique?
No, honestly, I've kind of always been strategic in bodybuilding just because I do love it, but as far as competing all the time, I don't love it. I'm not a weekend warrior competitor that shows up to every show. Like I do like one or two, and I just try to be my best, and that's that. I, it's a lot. I have a other full time job as a physical therapist, and I can't, I have to be very selective in what I do. And I've always had a full time professional job. Like I was a teacher before. And anyway, so it was like, I think that it definitely benefited me back whenever I first started. Again, it was strategic. It was clutch that I got in. I knew I wanted to get into fitness. So I was like, okay, I'm going to do figure. I'm going to do this show. And it was in Kentucky, where I'm from. And it was very strategic. And then I went right into fitness and then women's physique. I think that it was like a cattle call for, I mean, all like when I first started, it's like what bikini is now and how they just all look amazing and they're equally like just close your eyes and pick one. Like that's how it was for figure. And I saw that then and I'm like, it'll take me so long to turn pro in figure. I'll just do fitness. So that's what I did because I had some gymnastics background and dance background. So I think that it definitely if I would have just stayed as figure, I wouldn't even be competing today, honestly, because not that I'm not driven or motivated, but like I'm just not somebody that's going to show up. Like I want to win. I mean, I'm competitive, and if I'm not good at something, I'm not going to keep doing it. I mean, honestly, that's why I've kept doing bodybuilding. I mean, it's crazy. The sport is crazy. You have to be crazy to do it. So the fact that I've done well is what's propelled me to keep doing it, and I think, okay, I'm doing well. I'm supposed to do this. Not everyone can do this. Like, I'm so blessed. Do it for people that, can't do it. I'm helping people learn to, walk and move their muscles. And so it's like, I don't really have any excuse. So that's kind of where I'm at with that.
Do you feel that you're more positive, that you have a better attitude when you're doing figure now? Because you seem, I mean, you might have been maybe a little bit more stressed when you were doing physique, just because you need to get that ridiculous look to go on stage. But do you feel that like you've had better relationships with your job, you've had just a better overall experience with this transition?
Yes, yes. I've even had them comment, and see the difference in me just since I've been working there just a few months. So, you get so the blinders get on and you're just so focused that you're not even aware of what you're even really like. I rely on my husband a lot because I know what he says is really true. Yeah, I won't see it at the time, but yeah, anytime you're in it, it's just so hard to have a real true grasp on reality. And it's really hard not to get obsessed and be selfish. And I think I'm going to be a lot more balanced in this division and in having relationships and, not just letting my world revolve around the sport. I mean, you have to a certain degree, but I mean, it's like, I mean, people get so obsessed by silly things. So I definitely think, yeah, going back to your question about, if it would have, do I think this has helped me? I mean, I've already set a name for myself. I'm known as a women's physique competitor, but then I also think that the division is thirsty for another new face. And so I think that they're hungry for it. I think that a lot of people can relate to the boat that I'm in right now because a lot of people are in it. So I feel like it's going to be a resurge because I honestly just have thought, why didn't I just stop after I won the Arnold? Because I feel like, well, that was my epitome. Like, why didn't I just stop with that? And I was very happy with that. But at the same time, I thought that that was just the beginning. I thought that that was like, the beginning because it used to always be the Arnold champ and the Olympia champ going head to head. And it's not like that anymore. It doesn't really matter. You just, like what you've done in the past, like it's what you're showing right now. And I mean, that's how it should be. That's the fair way to be. But I think that I just let it go to my head and you don't not that I'm that type of person, but at the same time, like when you're used to winning or you've done these things, you've gotten these accolades, like you can't undo them. I can't, it kind of becomes a stamp on you. And, you expect that, other people expect it. Like it's a lot of pressure. So I know for me this time, one thing I'm gonna do is like I'm gonna be friends with everybody. I'm friendly, I don't have any enemies. But as far as social media goes, like I'm not ever it was so nice to have that list come out and like not even care, not even know anyone. Like who I don't care if there's 150. I don't know yet, and so I'm just going to keep it that way because that's how it used to be. That's how when we all first started without social media. I mean, social media is great. We're able to have this, what we're doing today, but it was like you were your best version of yourself. And people say it's you against you or whatever, but in this day and time, it's not. Everyone is watching all the up and comers. Everyone's getting in everybody's minds. Like it's impossible not to in this day and age. So one thing I'm going to really implement is, I'm not going to be not that I even have much time for social media, but when you see anything, if you just see for a split second and then and then you say, oh, well, oh, I don't look like that. And then, oh no, I'm behind. Oh no. And it's this, it's everyone's highlight reel on Instagram and Facebook and stuff. And it's not real life. It's not, whoever shows up that day is who's ever the best that day. It doesn't matter, the Instagram date or whatever. But I'm just gonna really get back to, the days before social media, whenever you were in the gym and you were so hungry and you were pushing so hard, but in your mind, you were thinking about yourself up there and you were thinking about who could be there. Not people that you knew would be there. You were thinking who could be there. Okay, you're training, whatever it was, and you're envisioning in your head somebody standing beside you outdoing you in that body part, and so you were just chasing after the unknown, and that was the best fuel for me, and that's what always got me, further and further. And then it was like I just saw myself sliding back because I would let all these younger up and comers, that are really good, get in, into my thoughts and head. I mean, it wasn't like I was, obsessing over them, like, oh, I'm just going to quit now. But still, it was them, that I would like think about. It wasn't good fuel. You know what I mean? It wasn't a good. I just don't think. I think that we are all great in different ways, and we all are gifted in different ways, and we're all just showing it. And like, so I just think that everyone's equally great. And it was like, I'm not jealous, but it had that more of an attitude of not appreciating someone's gifts and what they were good at, and like, oh, look at that. Like, you know, it went from that to, oh, how do I get that? I want that. I'm trying to get that, and that is just, you can only do that for so long. Sorry, I thought this was, so yeah.
So, and as being that you were a former physique competitor, and I love to ask any of the physique guests that we have on, because obviously the division has changed so much from when it first got started, when they got rid of women's bodybuilding and they moved it to physique. But as someone who competed in it for such a long period of time, what would you say are probably some of the biggest changes that was made in the division? And a lot of people say now that it's basically becoming, women's bodybuilding again. Do you see that happening? And do you think that that's a positive, or what is your opinion on that?
Yeah, I thought it was really ironic because in Chicago, I thought, okay, there's women's bodybuilding here, so there's going to be, it's going to be in my favor because there's going to be more of a discrepancy. So I thought, okay, it's going to be, more clear cut because some shows that don't have it, you can't, the line is a little blurry. So it wasn't that, it wasn't that I was trying to cop out, or it wasn't, that, oh man, I'm not good anymore or whatever. Like, because some people were kind of like, well, just, it goes with the times, and you just gotta, that's bodybuilding. It's self improvement, self improvement. But for me, I liked what I looked like. So I was just like, well, no, like, I'm not trying, like, in my mind, honestly, when I placed like 12th or 15th or whatever I placed, I was like, you know what? The worse the better at the show. If this is a spectrum of like where I fit, I'm like, okay, I hope the dead last place will be even more confirmation to, switch to a different division. So I mean, I don't know. There's been such a surge of bodybuilding resurge with females. I thought that it was going to be different. I really did. But I don't know. I think it's just going to be kind of like everything that gets bigger, 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 and then they say they're going to scale down, but then they finally like really do throw down the hammer. And I think it'll probably get back to awarding more petite people like myself. I do. When that happens, I might go back, or even if for myself, where I'm in a better, spot, a better starting point physically. I know it's important to pick a division, but still, I lost so much muscle and everything this season that I don't know. I mean, maybe by me not having to sacrifice so much to get so much leaner, because I'm gonna stay leaner year round, and a better off season and just a better mentality. I mean, maybe I will be able to stand with women's physique. I haven't really. I'm like 99% sure that I'm going to do figure, but I'm just going to do what my body does. I'm not going to try. I always tell people that, as people that try, there is no like, do this plan for bikini, do this plan for figure, do this plan for physique bodybuilding. There are different things that you would be doing, yes, but by far and large, your body, you don't let the category pick you, like you let your body pick the category. So and just for right now where it's at, I think that that's where my body fits in. A lot of people were like, well, just do what you love, do what I'm just like, I don't know. I'm just like, I love winning. So I just want to do whatever I'm best in, because you're still doing the same thing. You're just on your show day, you're presenting in a different pose and different, footwear. So it's not really like when people say do what you love. And then all honesty, I mean, I know that people like my routines and stuff, but I hated doing that. Like that was the one thing, like what, when I got out of, I killed myself for fitness. And then after that, I'm just like, oh, like, bye. Because I mean, not that I was doing any hard routines or anything, but it's exhausting. It's exhausting to just even walk, and then to do performance. And then I kind of felt like, well, I'll throw in this. Like my routines kept getting like more and more watered down every time. And then when they were like, no more flips, no more gymnastics, I was like, yes, because I would feel like, well, I would be tempted, like, well, try this, put this in there. But I mean, I never really I put off my routine till like the very last minute. Like I'm talking like even sometimes like before the morning and night show. And like I would just kind of regurgitate. And I would pick out a song, but it was just not, I wasn't into it. So like, yeah, I mean, I think in a non-dieted, depleted, worn out state, I would be more, I would like to put more into my routine and practice it, because I loved, dance and gymnastics and all that before. But given the physical condition, it's like, and all that you have to do, it's like the last thing that I want to do. So I do kind of miss that a little bit. But I think honestly, it was kind of like, oh, well, this is cool, because in figure you have your intro. So it was kind of like I can make that my routine. That's the portion that I can make more me, and I'm still kind of figuring that out. So for me, that's enough, because I was always in favor of not doing the routine at night. Like, let's just skip that part. And so, and it's a risk, it's a risk to get hurt. It's an opportunity to get hurt doing something silly that doesn't even matter. That's not judged. I mean, when I was in fitness, it was judged. It was a big deal. So yeah.
Yeah, it's just yeah, just the big difference. But if we were to talk to you a year from today again, and what would be some goals that you would like to have achieved in your fitness or in your figure division when you're competing? If we were to talk to you a year from today, where would you like to be at in your figure journey?
Oh gosh. Well, talking about routines, I told Brent I was going to just live through him, and I'm going to make him up a routine, and we'll see if he actually will follow through. But he says that he will actually do it and learn it and implement it and execute it. So, because I love making routines for people, for other people. I spend more time on them. I mean, I am still very passionate about it, and very passionate about posing. Like, it was funny, I was helping somebody pose on my lunch break, and every day at work I do cardio on my lunch break. And so I'm walking on the treadmill, and there's all these patients around me, and I'm getting into it. I mean, I'm getting intense. Like, I'm like yelling, and then I'm just like trying to, okay, remind myself where I'm at, because I look, I don't want to get all these crazy questions. I got a lot of crazy looks, but I'm very passionate about that. So I would like to do that more. I would like to help people more online. I don't have the time, one on one. But online is definitely something. So working more with people and their goals with that. Um, for myself, I want to do the rock show if it really happens.
What
Is it
is
going
what is the rock show for everyone out there who doesn't know what that is?
to Okay, supposedly the rock, Dwayne Johnson, is having a bodybuilding show. And I believe it, because I mean, he's been at the Olympias and and even like smaller shows. So he's him, and then his company is, I don't even know much about it, but his business partner competes and all that. So they are, they're already very connected with the sport and passionate about the sport. So I do think it will happen. Um, but will it really, and will it be, this soon? I don't know. But if and when, that's the show I'm going to do. So whenever that is, I'm going to make myself be sure and be ready for that. I hear that it's in. Have you heard where it's at?
No, I haven't heard yet, but I think I assume that it might maybe be like in LA or Las Vegas or someplace like that. Yeah.
They say Texas.
Oh, Texas.
I'm
Oh,
trying to
okay.
say,
Yeah.
yeah. No date
Nice.
has been set. Um, yeah, y'all will have to research this, but no date's been set. But they had said that Under Armour was a sponsor
I think
already,
so. Yeah.
and Ford. So yeah, but there are rumors out there. And then the president even made a post about, okay, this is happening, but let it be known that nothing will be bigger than the Olympia. So I mean, he acknowledged it. So I mean, I think it's going to happen. So that's my goal, is to go there and win that.
No, yeah, and honestly, I mean, we wish you nothing but the best of luck in that. And a question that I ask, all of my guests, because a lot of the people that I have on swear by it, and it's one thing that I've recently increased into my own, fitness cycle is, time under tension training. It's something that, I mean, a lot of people they just hear that all the time. They don't really know what it is. But do you use a lot of time under tension in your training? And do you like to mix it up, or what are some techniques that you like to use when you're working out?
Yeah, I mean, that's basically the overriding, overarching theme of everything is time under tension. Yeah, always. I mean, anything, whether you're slowing down the concentric or the eccentric, or both, or adding chains or bands, or extending out your set, doing a different position, that's going to failure one position and then going to an easier position, or drop setting the weight, or going from one harder movement, supersetting with a different one. Yeah, those are all, I mean, that's extending the set. It's all about, yeah, how much, because your muscles don't know what you're doing to them. They're just responding. So trying to trick the body and how, and make it go longer, make it go longer. So yeah, definitely, I think that's an overarching principle. I do think that and I know even in therapy, there is so much emphasis on the eccentric. There's a lot of studies on the eccentric, which is just the lengthening, the load lengthening. So your muscle basically working in a lengthening state. And of course, that's what we focus on, and that's how you get stronger, and that's where it's all about. That's your money maker. But I like to implement a lot of slow concentric too, because it's hard to work, in that the body's stronger eccentrically too. So it's, I like to do a little bit of both, but there's a more emphasis on eccentric loading, going slower on that. But I think that there's a lot of power and things that people unlock potential in going slow on the concentric phase. So
So now, other than your husband, is there anyone else that you'd like to give a shout out to before we wrap things up?
oh gosh, just my sponsors: Muscle Egg, New Ethics Supplements. So it's New Ethics formulations, Gorilla Wear, my apparel. I've already talked about Muscle Egg. Can't get enough of them. Who else do I have? Protein is always there for me. CJ. I mentioned Kenny. Wallach Posing. Glam, competition jewelry. I'm very blessed with people that help complete my look on stage. Stage ready hair. Um, I have a meal prep company that cuts me pretty good deals. Just right eating. and 6-pack bags to put them in. I feel like I'm probably missing. So, we're very lucky. None of this came overnight. There's not a whole lot of perks and money in bodybuilding, but for us, it's just like, what we've developed and the relationships that we've made just mean the world to us for us to even have anything. I feel like a lot of people, a lot of millennials probably just they think that things are just going to be handed to them when they win, and they just like no, like even when I mean, even if you're a male, it's you might have a little bit better chance. But I mean, like even for me doing what
Guilty, guilty. Yep.
yeah, 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 but for women I can speak of, I mean, I long gone are the days whenever I thought, "Oh, maybe this will lead to something," you know? It's definitely led to opportunities over time that we're very grateful for, and anything that we get is just extra. We're not seeking for it, we're not looking for it, so we're just very grateful for, it's awesome to even have anything, but it's awesome to have more and more of these companies thrive and stay alive. So because we're all about that, and a lot of America is not. So just even like to see the protein bar companies do so well here recently, and we can remember them just getting started and talking with the people that were behind the scenes on that, and the owners and things. So it's good to see the bodybuilding community in itself getting more prominent. So
And that's awesome. And again, Autumn, I mean, we wish you nothing but the best of luck in all your endeavors. And I think that you're going to be doing great in figure. And I'm glad to see that you've found something now that really has kind of brought that passion back into it. Like you said, you were kind of a little, it wasn't that fun anymore. And it's glad because this should be fun. I mean, this should be. I mean, it's a great thing to do. And like you said, I mean, it's an extreme sport, but in the end, you should enjoy it. And I'm glad to see that you found something that really has brought back that joy for you, and we wish you nothing but the best. And everyone, I'll leave all the links to all that stuff that she was talking about down below. And again, Autumn, we cannot thank you enough for coming back on and sharing that. And is there any last thing that you would like to say before we shut things down here?
well, I can't wait for us to talk next year and play that video where I say I'm going to go to the rock show and I'm going to win it.
Hey, wait, you heard it on here first, everyone. So we have proof right here. So a year from now, when she's already won that show,
Awesome. He's such an awesome person. Like I think that everyone thinks that they know him. I mean, he's just like such a great person. So just to go and do that show will be awesome. So it better happen if you're watching this.
Dwayne the Rock Johnson, yeah, if you're watching this, yeah, it better happen. But again, you guys, so Autumn Swanson, cannot thank you enough for coming on. And this is Ryan Johnson, DD on the spot, signing out. Have a great day, everyone.